Hi, my name is Demetrius McCrae, and I'm going to do a book critique from Larry Hurtado's book, Destroyer of the Gods, Early Distinctiveness in the Roman World. Let me start by saying that this book is a valuable contribution to biblical scholarship, particularly for the studies in early Christianity in the Roman world. One of the significant things about the book and the way that he starts the book off is that he starts by noting that his aim or his intention is to address what is called what he terms cultural amnesia. And by this, he simply means that we have a modern understanding of what we think religion is, or what we think early Christianity looked like in the context of the early Roman era. And so he is arguing throughout this book that Christianity, and this is basically his thesis, he is arguing that Christianity has emerged out of this Roman era, this Roman context in which it was situated. Christianity has emerged as a different kind of religion. So throughout this book, this is what Larry Hurtado seeks to argue, that in the context of the first, second, and third centuries, Christianity emerged as a different kind of religion. And if you were to read certain chapters of the book, you'll see that he actually establishes his understanding of how religion is meant to be defined. In fact, he says this, he says that religious identity in our modern context is distinguishable from nationality or ethnicity, whereas in the Roman world or in the early Christian context, religion, or the early Christian context in which it was situated, religion was not distinguishable from ethnicity. He in fact would dare to suggest that to try to separate religion from ethnicity is a modern notion, and he would refer to this also as anachronistic. And so in chapter 3, we see more strengths than weaknesses. I would even dare to say that throughout the entire book, Hurtado has more strengths than weaknesses. So as I discuss the strengths and weaknesses of chapter 3, I'm just going to start with the weaknesses, and then I'll give you the strengths of the book. So the first thing that I perceive to be a weakness in my reading of the book is his discussion on voluntary religion. When he discusses voluntary religion, he discusses two types of what he calls two types of what is called mystery cults. These mystery cults that he discusses were Mithras and Isis. Now, the reason that I consider these mystery cults or this discussion on voluntary religions to be a weakness of the book is because they didn't advance the argument that he was intending to make. If his overall argument that he intends to make in the book is that Christianity emerged as a different type of religion, then this discussion on voluntary religion didn't advance the argument. So I would even dare to say that the omission of this information or the omission of these observations from his own research would not have taken away from the argument. And I'm not saying that they have taken away from the argument because they are actually in the book. But what I am saying is that if he were to omit these arguments, then they would not have taken away from the book in any kind of way. So that's the only weakness that I find there is his discussion on voluntary religion, where he's talking about these mystery cults. He says he discusses this to try to determine whether these mystery cults give us an idea of what made Christianity appealing. When he talks about voluntary religion, what he's talking about is he's talking about the choice to participate in a religion. So for the Romans, for the Roman religion, they could participate in religions that were beyond those that were assigned to them at birth. Because in the Roman world, religion was conferred on them at birth, and their gods were linked to their ethnicity. And so they had the freedom to practice other religions. And so he refers to this as an expansion of the religious practices that they already held that were connected to their ethnicities. But the interesting thing is, in this discussion of the mystery cults, again, his aim was to try to determine what was it, about these mystery cults that the people of the Roman world found appealing, and are there similarities in Christianity that they also found appealing? Well, it turns out he concludes that there was nothing in this analogy. There was nothing really in this analogy in terms of the mystery cults that correlated to Christianity that shows some type of appeal towards this religion in particular. One thing that he does note is he does note that with these mystery religions or these voluntary religions or mystery cults or voluntary religions, that there was no exclusivity with these. In other words, the people of the Roman era who participated in these mystery cults, they were not participating in them as a replacement of their religious identity that they already possessed that they already possess or already practice in terms of that which was connected to their ethnicity. The strengths of chapter 3 are found in his distinction between the religious identity of the Roman world religions and Christianity. But even more, another strength of this chapter is the distinction he creates between Christianity and Judaism. Now, if you're like me, anytime you're reading about early Christianity, or you're reading about Christianity in its early Roman context, you have the question, why is it that Judaism was tolerated more so than Christianity? And so he actually answers this. And so the way that he answers this is through his discussion on the trans-ethnic aspect of Christianity. Now, this is interesting as well, because another strength is not only does he talk about the trans-ethnic aspect of Christianity, but he also talks about the trans-ethnic aspect of the religions in the Roman world as well. And so in Roman world religion, what was considered trans-ethnic is that you had your religions that you practiced that were connected to your ethnicity, but you could also adopt Roman traditional practices that were related to the Roman Empire overall. And so there were times where the people of Rome would participate in what's called the imperial cult. And that was their way of identifying themselves either, with the emperor and with the Roman empire overall. So the distinction between the trans-ethnic aspect of the religion world, the Roman religions and Christianity, is that with the Roman religions, there was a political association, whereas with Christianity, the trans-ethnic idea or trans-ethnic aspect is that people, once they became followers of Jesus, their ethnicity did not change. So which brings us back to Judaism. Judaism was viewed or tolerated in the early Roman world because it was viewed as a religion that in which their religious beliefs and ideologies were also connected to their ethnicity. If you wanted to become a Jew, if you had an interest in Judaism, they didn't consider you a full Jew because you were not a Jew ethnically. And so Judaism was tolerated because Judaism, or should I say the religious aspect of Judaism, was directly connected to ethnicity. Now, this did bring some challenges for Jews who converted to Christianity, because and it brought some challenges for Gentiles who converted to Christianity, because for the Jews, they did not appreciate the worship of Jesus Christ. And then for the Gentiles, they saw no justification for abandoning the worship of the other gods because their ethnicity didn't change as a result of them becoming Christian. And so these are some strengths. These are strengths in Hurtado's book, especially in this chapter, especially considering that his whole or his entire goal or his aim is to provide this to show the distinctions between early Christianity and the Roman religions. And if his aim is to prove that early Christianity emerged as a different kind of religion, this is the way that he successfully accomplishes this in chapter 3. And so the interesting thing about Christianity, Christianity's religious identity, is that it was both exclusive and it was not related to ethnicity. So these are the strengths that I find in Hurtado's book. And so it was very interesting read. It's a very valuable contribution to Christian scholarship, to biblical scholarship. It is actually a book that I would actually recommend to laypersons to read as well, to gain some insight. I think one thing that Hurtado does in this book is that he helps this information can help the average reader to approach biblical passages more appropriately. When you have this historical background in the back, you have these historical elements that are available to you, and it helps with biblical interpretation as well. So thank you for watching this. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this critique on Hurtado's book, Destroyer of the Gods. I hope that you have developed kind of an idea of the strengths and weaknesses of chapter 3 in his book. Thank you.